eSIMs. We've chatted about them before on this channel. In fact, there's an entire another video just about how they all work and why they have changed the game when it's come to international travel and roaming. And don't get me started about how much of a revolution they are, a technological genius revolution when it comes to being able to access data and social media while you're overseas, contact family, reach out without the need to get one of those tiny crappy little SIM cards from someone else that you've never heard of before in an airport. These things are absolute game changers. I don't even know how we did it before. It was all a bit awkward and we kind of like guessed our way through. But after my latest trip to the US, I'm going to tell you that there really is only one eSIM to rule them all, and that is Airalo. In my opinion, the best eSIM on the market at the moment. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Big thanks to the team at Airalo who caught wind that we were doing this review. So they've offered all viewers of the S-Money YouTube channel 10% off Airalo eSIMs. Just use the code S-Money when checking the link in the description. Back to Airalo. Founded by two Canadians, it's not a new company. They've been around for a while, but they've helped to do just a couple things really well, really destigmatize the whole eSIM market as it's sort of come to fruition over the last couple of years. There are a few eSIM suppliers and aggregators out there where you can search for the best product when you end up in country. I've used UBiggy quite a few times before when I've been through Asia, but in terms of ease of sign up and then registration of an eSIM while in country, Airalo is hands down the best. What I love about this product is how simple it is to use straight out of the box, or should I say from their user experience on their website. I like to use the term effortless. So if you're like me and you're sitting in a lounge in San Francisco waiting for a connecting flight and you've got 15 minutes to spare max, head over to airalo.com and create an account. That's your starting point. Once you're signed up, the rest of the experience all on the website becomes even simpler. You pick a country or a region, or there's even a tab where if you plan to be in 20 countries in the next 2 weeks, you can pick the world. That allows you to snag a global eSIM, which we've talked about on another video if you want to chat about that one as well. Now, Airalo's global eSIM actually covers not just 20 countries, but 100 countries. If you click on a country on the Airalo website, I then love the clarity about exactly what you're going to get. All the information is presented there in front of you, and sometimes there are even top-up options for you to consider should you go over your budget or your allowance within the first couple of days, which is super handy because that has happened to me before in some Asian countries when I've needed to use my phone a lot. Now, after your purchase, make sure you are still logged in and you head to the My eSIMs section, the My eSIMs tab at the top of your account. That's where you will easily find your newly acquired eSIM stored in a little section of your account. If you haven't already downloaded the super easy to use Airalo app, do so, because the eSIM will also be in there saying that it's not yet activated, but also you get a handy little graph in there which shows you how much data you have or haven't used yet. As I've mentioned before with other platforms, the whole activation process with eSIMs can be a tricky affair. It can take some, fiddly activities with your phone, depending on the type of phone you have. That's a good point. Make sure that whatever phone you are using is eSIM compatible. Most of the modern iPhone models or Google or Samsung models are, so you don't really need to worry about that too much. But the way that you access or add an eSIM is all very different, and this activation process can be a little bit difficult. Not with Airalo. The instructions and the usability by which they break down the steps to get there, it is very simple. Even my 70-year-old grandmother, she was able to do it without needing to FaceTime me simultaneously to ask me steps in order to be able to work out how to do it. Now, usability and ease of sign up is one thing, but really, we've all got eSIMs because we want greater connectivity, and connectivity is the most important thing of all. On my last trip to the US, I was on the West Coast in a place called Washington. I got 20 gig for the week. It was part experiment, but also it was based on experience of how much data I used when I time in Asia compared to how much data I thought I might need this time when I was visiting the US. That 20 gig of data cost me about US $42, which is not cheap, but 20 gig is a lot. And again, as I said, I was doing it for a test. But it is a far cheaper and simpler alternative than the international roaming fee that I would have been charged by Telstra had I activated that instead. And I certainly wouldn't have had the sort of flexibility that I got when I downloaded Airalo. Now, in just 7 days of being in Washington, I only used 11.7 gigs. So that's just over half of the allocation that I got. And you know what? I was pretty liberal with my usage. I used it for everything: streaming, social media, FaceTime calls, you name it. I even deliberately stayed off Wi-Fi in my hotel to see how much I could push it to the limit while I was over there. Now, you don't need an eSIM. You can bounce around Wi-Fi hopping from spot to spot and activating data where you need it. But the thing about an eSIM is that you don't need that fuss. You don't need to go up to a stranger and ask them for a password. It's just you've got it there. There's no nasty surprises. You pre-purchase a package and what you buy is what you get. Add to that the real-time monitoring that you get. It is so much better than Telstra or Vodafone in Australia. With Airalo, I could watch where my data was going at the end of each day and not be worried that I was going to go way over my allocation and therefore my budget from my time there for the week. Now, I think this was a bit of an anomaly because I was in Washington State. I wasn't in Chicago or New York or San Francisco. I was in Seattle, but also spent some time in the countryside. It was a little bit of a hiccup because especially around outskirts of Seattle, I was mostly connected with an LTE on my phone, which is pretty much the equivalent of a 4G network. It was defaulting constantly to T-Mobile's LTE network, which means I wasn't picking up that 5G. But you know what? For what I needed while I was overseas, it was enough. And imagine if I was in a much more connected city, like so when I was in Seattle in the center, I was always picking up the 5G signal. But if I was constantly spending a lot of time in New York, for example, the connectivity would probably be much better. Now, two standout features for me for the Airalo eSIM. Not just about usability, connectivity, there's a couple of other really cool loyalty features that I want to talk about that makes it just that much better, because you don't want to have to play around with new companies or new eSIMs every time you're going overseas. You want to use the best one. They've got something called the Air Money loyalty system, where you can progress from silver up to gold membership and get cash back on reaching gold traveler status. Plus, you earn Air Money for referrals. So say, for example, you want to tell someone else about how good Airalo is after watching this video, you can download the app and refer someone else, and the next time you go overseas, every time you buy another SIM, you'll get cash back. The second thing is they've got a really responsive and intuitive customer service and feedback section, all done through the app. It's something that you don't get with another platform that I've used. So if I was going to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a solid 9 out of 10 on the eSIM index registered by S-Money. Now, it's not an official index, that's just something that I've made up, but 9 out of 10 is pretty good. Airalo might be a great option, it might not also be for everyone. For really short trips, I've explained it before, like say 3 or 4 days, you may just be better contacting your local supplier and finding out how much they're going to sting you for a day of data. For example, Telstra, they do $10 for a gig a day. Vodafone, they do about $5. Alternatively, you might just like to Wi-Fi hop between cafe to bar to cafe. The US, most people that you meet and most people you are traveling with will have some sort of Wi-Fi connectivity that you can leech off. Most importantly though, a lot of people now, they don't know this, but you can actually have both options toggled on your phone. You can bounce in between both your local operator, so say for example Telstra or Airalo, depending on how much data you are using while you're overseas. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the video, I've actually done a full breakdown on exactly what eSIMs are and how they're a game changer for the travel industry. I dive deeper into some of the products and aggregators where you can find out the best ones to use, and also how they're reshaping telecommunications while we're traveling overseas. So you can also expect more content like this at smoney.com.au, our website, which we've dropped in the notes for you to take a look at. But we really want you to subscribe to our channel, pop back to S-Money's YouTube. We will show you all the latest tips, tricks, destinations, how to use money, how to change money, all the things you should be thinking out before you're traveling overseas. One more thing, big thanks to the team at Airalo who caught wind that we were doing this review. So they've offered all viewers of the S-Money YouTube channel 10% off Airalo eSIMs. Just use the code S-Money when checking the link in the description. Want to find out about the 7 best international sims that we really rate in addition to Airalo? Don't worry, we've got a story for that too. Click up here or have a look in the notes below. We'll take you straight to that so you can be totally informed as you prepare to buy your next eSIM for your big overseas adventure. Keep watching.